Hello. Welcome to the first part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my channel members for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this series we see that a really big war is going on. At the grandest kingdom last line of defense Endeavor stronghold. A really big army of monsters is attacking. Soldiers are being overwhelmed by the monster number. Some monsters starts to scale the wall. One of the soldiers says, "Fight with all you have, Endeavor soldiers. Slay every single one of those orcs." A lot of orcs starts to scale the walls and killing the soldiers. Some really bright light appears in the sky. All the orcs starts to see toward that. Orcs goes to berserk after seeing the light. Deputy commander thinks, the orcs have gone berserk. It's now just a matter of time before the south gate falls. Their large number are troublesome. However, the really problem will start when the orc lord joins the battle. Since the orc lord is different from the previous ones, as he is an aura master. Which means that he can use special aura skills. The orcs have already taken the castle walls. Could this really be the end for us? Stop them. The monster starts to climb down the walls. They says, "No matter what happens, protect the castle with your lives." One of the orcs steps on a soldier. All the dead soldiers start to get up. Even the dead soldier under orc's feet grabs the orc. Everyone is really surprised and say, "What is that light?" The corpses are standing back up. All the undead starts to fight orcs. Soldier says, "There's a necromancer." Why is a necromancer? Orc lord starts to attack as well. Our protagonist is in front of the orc lord. He says, "Defeating you with just normal corpses isn't possible." As expected of an aura master, our protagonist looks less of a necromancer and more of an assassin. He bring out some more really strong looking undead monsters. He says, "It's you turn now." Orc lord is still killing undead army non-stop. Orc lord uses a really powerful attack. The skeleton warrior comes from behind the orc lord and attack him. Orc lord dodges the attack. The undead tiger man immediately attacks from the front. They both skeleton warrior and tiger man attacks orc lord at the same time. They start to fight. The tiger man uses a really powerful attack. Our protagonist is also kill the monsters with a sword. Some thinks, the world is vast. To think that a necromancer with such excellent swordsmanship would be on this battlefield is baffling. A giant undead is also killing a lot of orcs. The fairy monster is also killing the monsters. All the alive soldier are really surprised to see our protagonist's power. They thinks, he managed to turn the tides of the battlefield just by himself. Even though the empire forbids black magic, orc lord gets really excited and says, "I never thought mere corpse could force me to a halt. But don't you dare think you can defeat me with just this." Splendid. Our protagonist get in front of orc lord and says, "Finally a usable body. You have the qualifications to become one of my companions." Our protagonist extends his sword. He start to attack orc lord. Orc lord grabs the sword with his aura hand and jumps to attack. Our protagonist one in hand and leg gets cuts. But in the next moment it is reattached. Orc lord is surprised to see that and smiles. They both starts to fight. Orc lord attacks him. His sword hits a lot of bones. Our protagonist can summon the piles of bones to defend himself. Our protagonist thinks, "I must become even stronger." Bones starts to come out the ground and starts to cover his body. He thinks, "For the sake of my own survival, and for the sake of those precious to me." His undead army is watching him. He looks really cool in that bone armor. He thinks, and also, orc lord gets really excited and says, "Come great warrior who wishes to change the world. Entertain me in battle one last time." Our protagonist thinks, "For me to continue living as Andrea's Cromwell." They both starts to fight. A lot of really big explosions starts to happen. Soldier are really surprised to see him fight. Even his own undead army is really surprised to see his power. Our protagonist's sword is covered with fire. Orc king is also attacking him. Prologue ends here. After that we see Rodlin Academy. The Empire's more prestigious, nurturing academy, where those deemed promising come to learn. While this is where those who are hiding their identities gather. Someone says, "Hey Andreas. Didn't you say it was here?" Andreas is our protagonist. He says, "Sorry, There are a lot of dead monsters around them. That man says, to think you can't even remember the location of the body you worked on last week. Andreas thinks, we are researchers of the forbidden black magic, necromancers. If someone were to find it out, I would be executed on the spot. That is why I conduct my experiments in secret. That man says, back away, I will now begin. They start the ritual. It fails. He says, let's end it here for today, clean up and then head back up. Andreas thinks, well, I didn't learn anything today either. He starts to clean it up. He thinks, even though it's dangerous doing this, I don't seem to be getting much out of it. But it's not like I can just quit. After all, this is the only place I can read proper books concerning black magic. Sorry for taking so long. That man says, if it takes you half a day just to do the cleanup, when will you be able to do the full job by yourself? Andreas thinks, because you don't teach me anything, I have to learn by myself. He says, I entrusted a simple job to you and you're already that nervous. I won't tolerate another failure. Andreas says, I will do my best. He says, I don't know if I can count on you, but I will give you another chance. Go to the Binehales National Graveyard and bring me another body. Don't forget, I am the one who took you in despite you being an orphan. So you have to constantly prove you are worth living. If you can't, you already know what will happen. Andreas thinks, I will just become another body of his to perform experiments on. He says, so do it well. Now leave. He says, yes, sir. Andreas gets out of there and thinks, he didn't even give me the travel expenses. Other students looks toward Andreas with really surprised look on their face. Andreas says, I'm not some kind of spectacle out of my way. He thinks, I have not the slightest idea of how to get out of this. His full name is Andreas Cromwell, Magic Department 3rd year, untalented. An orphan from a fallen family. A typical man who curries face with the strong and slams the weak. The worst rated of the academy, a third-rate villain. The type of character that nobody wants to play as. But even though I don't want it, I have to keep living as Andreas. He says, I am Makoto Kaneshiro and I am inside the world of great sin. I was a member of the special forces who couldn't adapt to the life of a normal member of society. And for me, the only thing that supported me in my heart was the great sin. So I just forgot about everything and immersed myself in the game. And when I finally managed to clear it on my 12th week, Makoto Kaneshiro, someone who possessed detailed knowledge of my personal information and gaming habits, called me. As I was surprised, I tried to turn off my computer instantly. But without realizing, I turned into a character of the game at a point half a year before the main story would begin. Andreas, a character who was followed by the shadow of death. Why, you ask? Because all the characters go through the same event. They discover Karen's true identity and then kill him. Together with me, so if I don't find a way to get away from Karen before the main story begins, then I won't be able to escape being involved with the main characters. Can I really clear this? I have no choice but get stronger before it begins. The only thing I can count on is the 2 special traits you get for playing 13 weeks. But one of them is random and I got the dual core trait. That makes you able to use both magic and swordsmanship. I doubt that I can survive just focusing on one of them. And that leaves me with the other main trait that I can choose. So I have no choice but to choose one that synergizes the most with my necromancy. He says, chose characteristic. A list of traits appears in front of him. He thinks, seeing it for the first time, there really are a lot to choose from. Chinese Dao. Weapons path, probably not those. First let's look at the ones I haven't seen before. I'm certain I can find the solution in here. He, the trait evolution. He chooses evolution. He thinks, is the phenomenon that adapts a living creature for it to real higher places. It's a trait I haven't seen before in the game so far. What is really need right now, was something that allowed me to outgrow those castle walls, and evolutionary development. There's no need to think further. Evolution trait selected. I can finally see it. What kind of future this trait will bring for me. We see him behind the master of a dragon and he is the king of everything. He thinks, in this world, I will definitely survive and clear the game as Andreas. The first part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, Please subscribe and like, and if you want to support me financially you can join my channel membership only for $1. Channel membership and Discord links are in the description if you want support me. And a special thanks to all my channel members for supporting me. Thanks for watching.